think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love. I've been feeling like I'm feeling like a man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Baddest in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fanny up. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the low. I be counting stacks while they grow. Yeah, you know me, baby. Won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely.
What's going on? What's good? What's good? Shout out to Mafia Gaming. Hello, what's going on? Yes, indeed. We are finally at 1K. I appreciate everybody for helping me get there. I wanted to get the stream out the way, then I'll do my 1K, the 1K celebration stream, but I wanted to get this stream out of the way so I can just get into, I don't forget about it, because I want to close this part up. So bring that a little bit down. So like I said before, I was going to come back and we're going to talk about the removal of Donald Trump, which is a pretty crazy scenario, to say the least. Now, I have two parts, and a third part that I'm not 100% sure is a separate piece, right? But we're gonna take a look at that as well, and we're gonna find out if it is or is not. Okay, so it's two parts. One with Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi, the two journalists that's been covering this story so far. So the first part is going to be, actually no. So it's Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, and Barry Weiss. So it's 4, 5, and Matt Taibbi, I believe, is 6 or part 1. So we're going to cover that last and see if there's anything different between these two journalists, and we'll actually just wrap it up from there. So I don't want to be too long going through this. Perspective Gaming was good, brother. What's up? Perspective, shout out to PG in the house, was good. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so Michael Schellenberger, Twitter Files Part 4, the removal of Donald Trump, January 7th. Okay, so this is from January 6th. So what I want to do is I'm going to cover Matt Taibbi first then. So Twitter Files, the removal of Donald Trump, Part 1. So Taibbi's Part 1, this is Part 2, and this is Part 3. So this is going to be a 3-part thing right now. So the world knows much of the story of what happened. Appreciate you too, man. The world knows much of the story of what happened between riots at the Capitol on January 6th and the removal of President Donald Trump from Twitter on January 8th. Well, we'll show you what hasn't been revealed. The erosion of standards within the company, and months before J6, decisions by high-ranking executive to violate their own policies and more against the backdrop of ongoing documented interaction with federal agencies. So, pretty much one of the core things from these Twitter files is the fact that Twitter was working closely with pretty much any 3 or 4 letter agency you can think of in the United States government, including CENTCOM and SOCOM, which are special military operation units that operate outside of the Pentagon. And I covered that on my FBI Twitter file stream this week. All right, so check that out, and you'll be catched up. You'll be caught up with some of the things that we're covering right now. K's Business Podcast was good. What's up, K? So, this first installment covers the period before the election through January 6th. Tomorrow, okay, so we're in order. So it's Matt, then Schellenberger, and then Barry Weiss. Okay, so it's 1, 2, and 3. Schellenberger will detail the chaos inside Twitter on January 7th. On Sunday, Barry will reveal the secret internal communications from the key date of January 8th that led to Trump getting banned. Whatever your opinion on the decision to remove Trump that day, the internal communications at Twitter between January 6th and 8th have clear historical impact. Even Twitter's employees understood in the moment it was a landmark moment in the annals of speech. Is this the first sitting head of state to ever be suspended? As soon as they finished banning Trump, Twitter execs started processing new power. They prepared to ban future presidents and White Houses, perhaps even Joe Biden. That would never happen. The new administration says one exec will not be suspended by Twitter unless absolutely necessary. As stated in our blah, 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 it is clear that another account is being used for the purpose of evading a ban. It is also subject to suspension for government accounts such as POTUS and White House. We will not suspend those accounts, but will take action to limit their use. However, these accounts will be transitioned over to the new administration in due course and will not be suspended by Twitter unless absolutely necessary to alleviate real-world harm. Twitter executives removed Trump in part over what one executive called the context surrounding actions by Trump and supporters over the course of the election and frankly last 4 years. In the end, they looked at a broad picture, but that approach can cut both ways. Absolutely. Vijaya, that's the one that Elon fired. I'm working with on team to put together a doc to share with you a POV from research on Donald Trump's language and coded incitement to further violence. In the meantime, here's our quick take. The decision on whether to pull the particular tweet or use that as a last straw for Trump depends on many factors, including 1, the overall context and narrative in which that tweet lives. We currently analyze tweets and consider them at a tweet-by-tweet basis, which does not appropriately take into account the context surrounding. You can use the yelling fire in a crowded theater example, and that's a great example that people often overlook when discussing these things. Context matters in the narrative that Trump and his friends have pursued over the course of this election and frankly last 4 years must be taken into account when interpreting and analyzing that tweet. The larger question is around our moral imperative and decision as a company, which user sentiment should not drive based on number 1. And I believe that this tweet does violate our rules when taking that historical context, current climate into account. So pretty much they're setting up, they're trying to find a way to make it make sense for them to do what they're about to do. So they're looking for any reason they have to do what they're about to do. That's pretty much what that meant. The bulk of the internal debate leading to Trump's ban took place in those 3 January days. However, the intellectual framework was laid in the months preceding the Capitol riots. The bulk of the internal debate leading to Trump's ban took place in those 3 January days. However, the intellectual framework was laid in months preceding the Capitol riots. Before J6, Twitter was a unique mix of automated rules-based enforcement and which subjective moderation by senior executives. As Barry Rice reported, the firm had a vast array of tools for manipulating visibility, most of all which were thrown at Trump and others pre J6. As the election approached, senior executives, perhaps under pressure from federal agencies with whom they met more as time progressed, increasingly struggled with rules and began to speak of vios as pretext to what they'd like to have done anyway. After J6, internal slacks showed Twitter executives getting a kick out of intensified relationships with federal agencies. Is a trust and safety head, Yoel Roth. And Yoel Roth is a piece of work. I mean, he's really been a piece of work. I have stuff on him. He's a piece of work. Lamenting a lack of generic enough calendar descriptions to concealing his very interesting meeting partners. It happens. I'm a big believer in calendar transparency, but I've reached a certain point where my meetings became very interesting to people, and there weren't meeting names generic enough to cover. Anyway, let me know. Very boring business meeting that is definitely not about Trump. Pretty much. Definitely not meeting with the FBI, I swear. Oh my God. Fucking millennials, man. Zillennials, whatever. Fucking goofballs. These initial reports are based on searches for docs linked to prominent executives whose names are already public. They include Roth, former Trust and Safety Policy Chief Vijaya Gad, and recently Plank Walk Deputy General Counsel and former top FBI lawyer, none other than Jim Baker. One particular Slack channel offers a unique window into the evolving thinking of top officials in late 2020 and early 2021. On October 8th, 2020, executives opened a channel called US 2020 X Enforcement. Through January 6th, this would be home for discussions about election-related removals, especially ones that involved high-profile accounts, often called VITs or very important tweeters. All right. Hey everyone, starting tomorrow, October 9th until October 15th, this channel will be used for the following reasons related to US 2020 elections. I like tech issues, enforcement, template, global escalation team. Okay. There was at least some tension between safety operations, a larger department, whose staffers use a more rules-based process for addressing issues like porn, scams, and threats, and a smaller, more powerful cadre of senior policy execs like Roth and Gaddy. The later group were a high-speed Supreme Court of moderation, issuing content rulings on the fly, often in minutes and based on guesses, gut calls, even Google searches, even in cases involving the president. That is fucking insane. What's going on? 267-2291. They were embarrassing their feelings because he spoke the truth. These people were ruling on tweets based on simple Google searches. That's nuts. Let's see. Trump, the later group were, okay. Let's see. Breaking news. Ohio voters, blah, blah, blah. Would be enough to be in violation, right? If the claim were in fact accurate, yes. But it looks like it's true. Oh boy. During this time, executives were also clearly liaising with federal enforcement and intelligence agencies about moderation of election-related content. While we're still at the start of reviewing the Twitter files, we're finding out more about these interactions every day. Policy Director Nick Pickles
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Wow, what a name. Nick Pickles. Wow. Is asked if they should say Twitter detects misinfo through ML, human review, and partnerships with outside experts. The employee asks, I know that's been a slippery process. Not sure if you want our public explanation to hang on that. Okay, that's just an explanation of what I just wrote. Here go Mr. Pickles. His name is Nick Pickles. That's funny. Hey, kind of looks like a pickle, too. Oh, shit. Pickles? I'm sorry, y'all. Man, his name is Nick Pickles. I can't. That's a tough one. Pickles quickly asked if they could just say partnerships after a pause. He says, not sure we describe the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, as experts. The post about Hunter Biden laptop situation shows that Roth not only met weekly with the FBI and DHS, but with the Office of the Director of the NIA. Oh, DNI, Director of National Intelligence. Okay. Yoel has checked in. Here's what he said. What's for you? Last check-in. Blah, 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 blah. Happened 15 minutes after the aforementioned hack materials implosion. The government declined to share anything useful when asked. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We're going to have to read that one. That seemed like he said something interesting just now. Yoel has checked in. Here's what he said. What's new for you since our last check-in? Hack materials exploded. We blocked the New York Post story. Then we unblocked it, but said the opposite. And now we're in a messy situation where our policy is in shambles. Comms is angry. Reporters think we're idiots because you are. And we're refactoring an exceedingly complex policy 18 days out from the election. In short, fuck my life. Weekly sync with FBI, DHS, and DNI. Election security. The meeting happened about 15 minutes after the aforementioned hack materials implosion. The government declined to share anything useful when asked. Monthly meeting with FBI, FITF. Briefed on several ongoing investigations. Complete shit show. Roth's report to FBI, DHS, and DNI is almost partially in its self-flagellating tone. We blocked the New York Post story, then unblocked it, but said the opposite. Oh boy. Some of Roth's later slacks indicate his weekly confabs with federal law enforcement involved separate meetings. Here he goes the FBI and DHS respectively to go first to an Aspen Institute thing, then take a call with Apple. Aspen Institute on vaccines that I have to present at, and then a call with Apple to avoid us getting kicked out of the App Store during the DHS one. Yeah, indeed. Okay. Here the FBI sends reports about a pair of tweets, the second of which involves a former Tippecanoe County, Indiana councilor and Republican named John Basham, claiming between 2 to 25% of choices by mail were being rejected for errors. And this is FBI using the teleporter portal. The FBI's second report concerned this tweet. Here's the editorial. The FBI flagged the tweet, then got circulated in the enforcement Slack. Twitter cited PolitiFact to say the first story was proven to be false, then noted the second was already deemed no vio on numerous occasions. He's political. Oh my God, it's a joke. The group then decides to apply a learn how voting is safe and secure label because one commenter says it's totally normal to have a 2% error rate. Roth then gives the final go ahead to process initiated by the FBI. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Examining the entire election enforcement Slack, we didn't see one reference to moderation requests from the Trump campaign, the Trump White House, or Republicans generally. We looked, they may exist, we were told they do, however, they were absent here. This inspires a long Slack that reads like a Tatiana McGrath parody. Who is that? Okay, whatever. I agree it's a joke, concedes a Twitter employee, but here he's also admitting in a tweet a crime. Okay, so this tweet was deleted. The group declares Huck's an edge case, and even though one notes we don't make exceptions for jokes or satire, they ultimately decide to leave him be because we've poked enough bears. See, and that shows right there, right, that they know that their enforcing of their rules is a bit ridiculous, and they know when to pull back. Could still mislead people. The humor adverse group declares before moving on from Huckabee. Oh, that's a lot, so I'm not going to be able to read all that. Roth suggests moderation, even in this absurd case, could depend on whether or not the joke results in confusion. This seemingly silly case actually foreshadows serious issues later. All this debate over whether or not you should ban somebody over a joke. Yeah, I could see us taking action under misleading claims that cause confusion about the established laws, regulations, procedures, and methods of civic process. But it's not one that we could really label in a useful way. So its removal of a stupid and ill-advised joke or nothing. I'm maybe inclined not to remove without a report from voting authorities, given it's been a while since he tweeted it, and virtually all of the replies I'm seeing are critical counter speech. Colon Adrex, okay, whatever. In the docs, execs often expanded criteria to subjective issues like intent. Yes, a video is authentic, but why was it shown? Orientation, was a banned tweet shown to condemn or support? Or reception, did a joke cause confusion? This reflex will become key in January 6th. In another example, Twitter employees prepare to slap a mail-in voting is safe warning label on a Trump tweet about a postal screw-up in Ohio, before realizing the events took place, which meant the tweet was factually accurate. They're not even looking up and verifying if the information that they're going to deem inaccurate is actually accurate. They're just going to say, "Oh, I don't think that's accurate." That is nuts. Yeah, those are. Oh my god. Very well done on speed. Trump was being visibility filtered as late as a week before the election. Here, senior execs didn't appear to have a particular violation, but still worked fast to make sure a fairly anodyne Trump tweet couldn't be replied to, shared, or liked. That's fucking nuts. Where's the team? What's the team's recommendation? Thank you. I agree with the recommendation. Flagging right now with leadership given its POTUS. Can we use a new doc per P review? Okay, we'll include that in our final playbook after. They're just making this shit up as they go. Very well done on speed. The group is pleased the Trump tweet is dealt with quickly. Look at this shit. Man, this is nuts. A seemingly innocuous follow-up involved a tweet with from actor James Woods. Now, James Woods is an interesting character for many reasons, and they took a certain liking to James Woods, and it before Elon came back, his account was actually suspended permanently, and he just recently got back to Twitter. James Woods, who ubiquitous presence and argued over Twitter data sets, is already a Twitter files in joke. Twitter is suppressing this tweet by the president. Here's a screen grab. After Woods angrily quote tweeted about Trump's warning label, Twitter staff, in a preview of what ended up happening after January 6th, despaired over a reason for action, but resolved to hit him hard on future violations. Considering the PV2 bug out this weekend, James Woods being so over the strike limit that our tools won't work on him, I suggest we action him for something worth the fiasco rather than the screenshot, since we don't have a firm policy basis for action on this account. Yep, you are fine letting this one lie blank can hit him hard on future violations with firmer basis. Okay. Here's a label. Here, a label is applied to Georgia Republican Congresswoman Jody Heiss for saying no to big tech censorship and mail ballots. Blah blah blah. Wow. Twitter teams went easy on Heiss, only applying soft intervention, with Roth worrying about a Wawa censorship optics backlash. I think going too far down the rabbit hole of labeling critical speech, i.e., critical of our handling of this case, is dangerous. You see, so they know what they're doing is wrong. Like, that's the thing. You know what you're doing is wrong. You're aware that it is wrong. You are aware that you are censoring people. You are aware that you are overly censoring people. You are aware that you are crossing the line. You are aware that you're going down a rabbit hole. And you continue to do it anyway. That's the fucking crazy thing about all of this. They know what they're doing is wrong, but they continue to do it anyway. Meanwhile, there are multiple instances of involving pro-Biden tweets warning Trump may try to steal the election that got surfaced only to be approved by senior executives. This one, they decide, just expresses concern that mail ballots might not make it on time. And you see their bias. That's understandable. Even the hashtag steal our votes, referencing a theory that a combo of Amy Coney Barrett and Trump will steal the election, is approved by Twitter brass because it's understandable and a reference to a U.S. Supreme Court decision. That's fucking crazy. I think it's encouraging people to vote. And they're not even researching any of these things that they're looking. They're just going. In this exchange, again, unintentionally humorous, former Attorney General Eric Holder claimed the U.S. Postal Service was deliberately crippled, ostensibly, by the Trump administration. He was initially hit with a generic warning label, but it was quickly taken off by Roth. Look at it, because once they find out, because they don't even bother to research if anything's factually accurate until someone tells them. Later in November 2020, Roth asked if staff had a debunk moment on the Smartmatic voting stories. which DHS, with his DHS context, told him were a combination of about 47 conspiracy theories. On December 10th, as Trump was in the middle of firing off 25 tweets saying things like a coup, our eyes, L3, blah, blah, blah. This step, they use a new L3 de-amplification tool. This step meant a warning label now could also come with de-amplification. So a stamp and semi-shadow banning. People saying Jamarcus Russell could play for the Jets. Some executives wanted to use the new de-amplification tool to silently limit Trump's reach more right away, beginning with the following tweet. It's him sharing Newsmax. However, in the end, the team had to use older, less aggressive labeling tools, at least for the day, until the L3 entities went live the following morning. So they had to wait for the new software to go live. The significance is that it shows that Twitter in 2020 at least was deploying a vast range of visible and invisible tools to rein in Trump's engagement long before January 6th. The ban will come after other avenues are exhausted. In Twitter docs, execs frequently refer to bots. Example, let's put a bot on that. A bot is just an automated heuristic moderation tool. It can be anything. Every time a person in Brazil uses green and blob in a sentence, action might be taken. Bot application. In this instance, it appears moderators added a bot for a Trump claim made on Breitbart. The bot ends up becoming an automated tool, invisibly watching both Trump and apparently Breitbart. Will add media ID to bot. Trump by January 6th was quickly covered by bots. This is crazy. This how much more of this we got? This is nuts. There's no way to follow the frenzy changes among Twitter personnel from between January 6th and 8th without knowing the basic of the company's vast lexicon of acronyms and Orwellian unwords. To bounce an account is to put it in timeout, usually for a 12-hour review. Interstitial, one of many nouns used as a verb in Twitter speak, denialist is another, means placing a physical label atop a tweet so it can't be seen. Wow. Phil has multiple meanings. PII, or I wonder what that PII has multiple meanings. One being public interest institutional, i.e., covering a label applied for public interest reasons. The post below also references proactive 5, i.e., proactive V, proactive visibility filtering. Oh my God. Fucking Skynet. This is all necessary background to J6. Before the riots, the company was engaged in an inherently insane / impossible project, trying to create an ever-expanding, ostensibly rational set of rules to regulate every conceivable speech situation that might arise between humans. This project was preposterous, yet its leaders were unable to see this, having become infected with groupthink, NPCs, coming to believe sincerely that it was Twitter's sole responsibility to control as much as possible what people could talk about, how often, and with whom. The firm's executives on day one of the January 6th crisis at least tried to pay lip service to its dizzying array of rules. By day 2, they began wavering. By day 3, 1 million rules were reduced to one: what we say goes. Oh my God. So that's the initial start of the removal of Donald Trump. All I can say is wow. So let's see how much we got from Michael. Let me just skim through this. Okay. Woo, shit. Okay, so we got a lot here. So let me see. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we go. Twitter. Why Twitter? Twitter banning Trump. For years, Twitter had resisted calls to ban Trump, blocking a world leader from Twitter, it wrote in 2018, would hide important info. But after the events of January 6th, the internal and external pressure on Twitter CEO Jack Groves, former First Lady Michelle Obama, shout out to Big Mike. Okay. Tech journalist Kara Swisher, ADL, high-tech venture capitalist Chris Sacca, and many others publicly called on Twitter to permanently ban Trump. You got blood on your hands. He's probably a bugged out fucking liberal venture capitalist. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do, right? I can see where this is going. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop it right here. I'm actually going to stop this right here. So what I'm going to do is for this stream, make this a 2-part stream. And I actually will be able to stream earlier in the day tomorrow, so it won't be late in the evening. It'll be like in the early afternoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a 2-part stream. So this is going to be part 1, where we discuss, so this is pretty much discussing Twitter's setting up the framework to banning or having a reason to ban Trump. Gene, what's going on? Salute. So what this is this was Twitter, me going over the framework that Twitter set up that would lead to the events between January 6th and January 8th of 2021, right? So when I come back tomorrow, and I'm gonna do this tomorrow afternoon, whichever time, because I'm gonna be off. So when I come back tomorrow, I'm gonna go over the actual banning of Trump, and then I'll have more time, because this is actually a lot of information right now to go over, just with these 2 stories as it is, right? So I'm going to come back tomorrow. Once I figure out the time, I'll put the thumbnail up. I use the same thumbnail. I'll put the thumbnail up, and we'll continue the stream for tomorrow. So this is a short one. This is only like, what, 40 minutes? I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm going to have more on this tomorrow. We're going to go over this some more tomorrow. And hopefully by this weekend, we'll be done with the Twitter files. And I'll move on to more content for the channel. But this is just a fascinating story that I can't ignore. I have to cover. So salute to the people who's watching me. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We had a short one, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow on part 2 of the Twitter files and the removal of Donald Trump. Till next.